everybody, to another cast of Age of Cavalry Archer, featuring here in the 8 o'clock position, Revisioner in the red, playing as the Magyars. And over here, near the 4 o'clock position, we have Aston Martin playing as the Celts, who, I'm going to take a bit of bet here, will probably not be playing Cavalry Archers. As some of you might know, Celts is a really, really popular race to do pretty much like one thing on Arabia, which is to pump Man-at-Arms and go in for a siege push in Castle Age, because they do get some pretty big upgrades. In Castle Age, their siege fires faster, so Meganell, very, very popular, along with the Man-at-Arms. Some typical, not deer, but gazelle pushing in here. A little goof coming in here from Gray, bringing in the elephant. Let's check in on Revisioner to see what's going on. Got a really, really deep, wide sheep scout going on the map, which is super interesting. It's actually good to not bring your sheep like all the way out to these spaces in the map, but if you do see some patches of resources on the outside, that could be a little indicator that your opponent is actually nearby. So even that's what I would be thinking. Like, if I get this stone and this gold on Arabia, I'm thinking my opponent is probably in that direction. In this case, you'd be flat out wrong. Just to show you how much that technique is reliable. Looks like playing a really, really tight build over here from Gray. Almost gets pop cap, but saves himself. These two civs are hyper aggressive on Arabia, so I'm honestly not expecting like any turtle up to come in. I'm expecting both players to go to feudal as fast as possible and absolutely just get hyper aggressive, like really, really fast. Not the cleanest elephant pull I've ever seen in my life, but hey, I'm no expert either. I think some more really, really wide gazelle pushing coming in here from red would be really cool to see if there was a player who could push like both at the same time. And this is like really, really far. But honestly, at this elo, you kind of have to do every single thing that you can in order to not screw up the gazelle push. Revisioner a little mistakey here. And this is kind of like, I don't know. Honestly, I think they should just rename this game to like Age of Herdable Push, because it's such a huge aspect of the game. Like, how much do you want to weigh in the risk and reward of like pushing or not pushing in your herdables? And it's just so necessary, right? Loom coming in for Gray before they click up. Sometimes you do see some players just getting Loom after the click up to Feudal Age, but Bray is playing it safe. Is coming in here to get some of the berries, which I'd love to see. Which is really awesome. And it looks like Red's going to be the first one up to Feudal Age with Mr. Aston Martin a little bit behind. But I believe that this elephant over here should be enough to get the click up. And they are ready to click up. Unfortunately, I was going to say they are missing a second Feudal Age building, but they're not. They're just not clicking up right now, so I'm not sure if they forgot. That's really unfortunate. I mean, you know, at this elo, every second counts. And speaking of elo, Revisioner on the way to 1500. I know that on this particular match you can't see the elo. But they are on the way to 1500, and I believe that if they win this game, they should be able to get right to 1500. Gray Scout now going out to find what they can find. Going to be looking for red, and I think that red should be doing the same thing. So they are going out to the right-hand side of the map. They are going to look for Gray where they can find them. Gray kind of heading in the wrong direction here, but you know. Eventually, they'll be able to find him for something. Looks like Red goes into the TC fire. Does see the gold. Does see the barracks, which honestly, at this point, it doesn't tell you that much about the Celts, because you would probably be doing something like this anyway, like in any build. If you wanted to go fast castle, slow castle, which is actually my favorite build. Gray a little late to finding the red player. If we look on their map, they should be approaching the red base pretty soon. Both production upgrades coming in for red, and they have a pretty, I would say, sizable advantage in terms of the fuel timing. Gray is going to spot the scout, so you kind of have one or two choices here if you are playing as Gray. And I think, honestly, they kind of missed their opportunity to go this big militia rush, so it seems like they might be turtling up. 2 spears now in the queue. 3 scouts in the queue for red, so it looks like Gray's going to be playing a lot more defensive. So the counter to this is basically just going straight to castle. 2 villagers in the queue, so maybe not the fastest castle, but we do see a market coming in here on the south side, which tells me, and it's going to tell red as well if they get sight of it, that fast castle is in the works. 3 villagers dedicated to the market, so that's fast, and we are just about 80 food and 1 more blacksmith away from clicking up to castle for Gray. Scouts now streaming in. Gonna look for damage. Gonna need some better micro in here from Gray, as this scout, just barely escapes their life. Red gonna have to avoid this the spearman. And I believe red did see the market, which tells me they probably know at this point. No, they didn't. They didn't catch the market or the blacksmith, but the fast castle is coming in. But spearman might give you a little indication of that. Let's go look at the eco for red, who has decided to go with an archery range. Interesting choice. So I think they want to go with some more feudal pressure. I think that you typically, maybe, another strategy is to stay with the scouts and just harass around the outside. A lot of food spend coming in here from red. They might get a bit of a rude awakening when castle comes in for Gray. It's a fast game. It's a game that requires a lot of precision at this elo. And I'm not so sure about this archery range choice. They're not picking gold units, which is good. But 2 skirms against a fast castle player, I think I would have preferred just to stay on scouts and just go around and harass. Focus on the eco. Little mistake here is 1 scout goes down for red. A few more pikemen on the map, and I think it's going to get really, really hard to do damage at this point. I think having the scouts on the map is good. If you keep your opponent honest, I think you can slow down that castle play. But now, the scout, who I think is almost dead, does catch these 2 skirmishers and should be able to take them both out, which is really unfortunate. Red's going to have to apply a lot more pressure for this point on and get some kills if they want to get back in the game. 2 villagers in position to go towards red, and I'm expecting either a monastery or a siege workshop to come in, and maybe even a proxy barracks. And I think Revisioner, lol, I'm so ba. I've never met anybody who was ba before, but apparently Revisioner, it's the first time he's ba, and takes a bit more hits from the spearman up front. Does scout the villagers over here, which, hey, if Revisioner can snipe this, which is going to be really hard because the spearmen are in chase, it's going to be bad. But now the siege is in the front. I'm expecting maybe a proxy barracks to come in. Red absolutely panicking. Gets the forward watchtower. If they are able to get that up, that wouldn't be so bad. So maybe the skirmishers wasn't a terrible choice. A proxy stable, that's really interesting coming in from Revisioner, but unfortunately putting more of these villagers up here on the tower is going to make them, get even later to castle. But not a bad choice, because no matter what siege comes out, they're not going to be able to take down this tower really quick unless it's a battering ram. But the Scorpion is actually going to be the first one to pop out, and it should be able to take out these skirmishers over here. Resource game pretty good for somebody who's going fast castle. Villager queue idle for Gray, so I think they're missing a bit of opportunity. There it goes. We're back on. Now there's knights on the field. This is a bit problematic for Red, who is going to need to turtle up a little bit more. Gold collection is really, really heavy for Red at this point. I think they need to really focus on getting up to castle, because this could be a a shit show, some might say, as now we do have a battering ram on the field, which is garrisoned inside the siege workshop. How do you get out of the situation if you're red? I think you go up the castle. I think then you decide whether you want to defend or if you want to counterattack to over here. Great, because their defenses is like not great on the base. Economy is popping off. And Revisioner calls the GG. Yeah, I think there were still some more outs here from Revisioner, but something I happen to know about Revisioner from watching them in interviews is that they do not like playing a game like this, where they screw up their feudal age and are playing on the back foot. Like I said, I think there are plenty of situations you can get out on this, but Revisioner is the kind of guy who doesn't like doing a hard day of work, so I definitely respect that. So the road to 1500 is temporarily, some might say, blocked. But we'll be back with another cast, so Revisioner is a bit closer to 1500. You got to be quicker than that.